Okay, trigonometric ratios. Again, take these notes in your notebooks. And again, this you really have to learn. This is one of the most highly applied mathematics in trigonometry. So this is really, really important here. Okay, here we go. So these trigonometric ratios, or we just, we say trig ratios, right? Again, short for trigonometric is trig or trigonometry. Ratios. Oh, that's not ratios. Now, sometimes they also refer them as, they're also known as AKA, right? Also known as trigonometric functions. Trigonometric functions. They call them ratios or they call them functions, but either one is fine. It's understood what you're doing. Okay, and remember a ratio. Again, you can say, 1 to 3, which you've seen like this, 1 to 3, or, this is one way you'll see a ratio, but you're going to see it as a fraction. So 1 to 3 or 1 to 3, you'll see it as a fraction. Right? So this is the way we're going to see it. We're going to see it as a fraction. We're going to obviously have a numerator and a denominator. Okay, so we've gone over the three sides of a triangle, of a right triangle, right? Three sides of a right triangle. And the three sides, and again, identify them in this order. The way you want to identify these are what? And which one do you identify first? The hypotenuse side? Right, that one's the diagonal side. Then what's the second one you want to identify? The opposite side. And remember, that's the one you have to be careful. That's the one that's opposite of the angle. And then finally, third is what? The adjacent side. And see, we're just going to be using, again, like we did for 30, 60, 90, and 45, 45, 90. The hypotenuse side, we're going to use the letter H, right? Because it starts with the letter H. The opposite side, instead of writing opposite, we're just going to use the letter O. And the adjacent side will be just the letter A. Okay, so again, we've done this, but let's just review again real quickly. I'm going to put two quick examples. Again, the orientation, they're going to change the orientation of these triangles, and see, draw one like this. Again, this is for right triangles, so they have to have this only applies for right triangles that have a 90-degree angle, right? A corner like that. And we'll do another one going, I don't know, some other way like this. This mathematics, again, for this trigonometry, only on right triangles, it works. Okay, so what if I put this angle here? Right, sometimes I'll have an angle, sometimes you use a letter. I'll use a letter over here. Well, I'll keep it as an angle because that's the way the assignment is. What are the angles here? Okay, remember identifying your three sides. Start with the hypotenuse side. Remember, it's the diagonal side, not the one that it has the two legs, not the one that contains a 90-degree angle. These two make the 90-degree angle. Neither of those two are the hypotenuse side. It's the other one, the hypotenuse side. So that's your H side. Then always, always, always draw an arrow. The angle's here, but the side opposite of it is this one. Very, very important. A lot of people get the hypotenuse right, but they'll put the opposite side. If you label this one wrong, then you're going to label this one wrong. So opposite of the angle, always draw an arrow. And then the last one is adjacent, right? There's only one more left. Okay, same thing over here. Now, if this angle were to be here, this would still be the hypotenuse side, but see, if this angle were here, then this one would now be the opposite side, and this the adjacent. So that's kind of what I'm telling you, so be careful. The hypotenuse, well, hopefully you won't mess that one up. Okay, so now what if I put this angle over here for this example here? Well, again, don't worry about that right now. These are the legs, right? The legs are the ones that contain the 90-degree angle. No, the hypotenuse side is the first one you identify. Not the legs that have the 90-degree in the middle. That's the hypotenuse side. Identify that one first. Always, always, always. Okay, and make sure you label, actually write those letters in. Don't just try to keep them in your head or something. Even though it's simple for a couple of you, but still, just have good practice. And then again, find where the angle is. Draw this arrow that points across or opposite. The side opposite is the one that you're going to label O, right? Opposite of the angle. So you hypotenuse is first, opposite, then the last one's adjacent. Okay, so we're familiar with that. Great. Here's the trigonometric ratios. Here's the big piece of trigonometry here. Used a lot, so learn it well. Okay, trigonometric ratios, or the trig ratios, or trig functions. Remember that? Trig ratios or trig functions, right? Trig what? Functions, same thing. They're talking about the same thing. Okay, there's three of them. Three trig ratios or three trig functions. One of them is the sine ratio. The other one is the cosine ratio. And the third is the tangent ratio. Again, you should have looked at these before back in geometry, right? Okay, so you're seeing them again. And again, we're not going to be writing all this, but obviously you're going to see that the abbreviation for sine, they use the first three letters here, which is sine of the angle, right? This is the function, sine, the ratio. The function is sine. Abbreviated is SIN, cosine, COS, and of the angle is equal to, and tangent, or abbreviation for tangent, is just, right, this is not sin. A lot of people say sin. No, it's sine. It's abbreviated for sine. It's not sin. Sine, cosine, and tangent. And then remember, you're going to figure out a ratio. A ratio, again, we talked about over here. A ratio is a fraction. You have to have a numerator and a denominator. Okay. So the sine ratio is the opposite side over the hypotenuse. That's the sine ratio. But we're going to abbreviate it and have a little shortcut little thing we use here so that you remember these easily. The cosine ratio, again, it's a fraction. Remember, it's a fraction. I need a top value or a number and then a bottom value or a number. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Right, this is my fraction, this number over this number, a ratio, again, a fraction. And then lastly, tangent. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. How are you going to remember this? Okay, there's this, if you remember again, back from trigonometry, to remember the sine ratio that it's opposite over hypotenuse, you're going to use this so. And to remember this one for cosine that it's adjacent over hypotenuse, you're going to use ka. And then to remember tangent, you're going to use toa. So ka toa. If you remember that, or if you've heard people say that those funny sounding words, well, they're not really words, they're kind of abbreviations. How is so gonna help you find sine? Well, the S is the function. This first letter is the function. This is the function, right? The function is the name of the trig function here. This is the function. And the last two are what? And the last two is the fraction, right? Your ratio, right? Your numerator over your denominator. This is your function, right? The sine, the S, right? The sine starts with a S. And then look at O and H. O over H. If you see that? O, H. See, that's what these last two stand for. So this first one is your function sine. And the last two is for the fraction, the O over H. So this is for your ratio or your fraction. I'll put ratio. Same thing over here, right? Starts with a C. Which function starts with a C? Sine, cosine, or tangent? Well, obviously, this is the function. This is for the ratio. A over H. AH. The last two is the fraction part. I'll put ratio or fraction over here. The last two are for the numerator and the denominator. Which function back here starts with a S? So, sine. Which one starts ka, cosine? C, t. Which one starts with a T? Sine, cosine, or tangent? There's only three. Which one starts with a T? Tangent. Okay, so this is your ratio or fraction. Right? Your numerator over your denominator. Same thing here. The T is for the function. Which function starts with a T? Tangent. And the last two, the O and the A, tells you how to set up the ratio, the fraction. Okay? All right. So go ahead, go to the next video. I'll show you how you will see the problems and how to find these ratios here. Okay.